In 539 BC, Cyrus the Great conquered Babylon and ended its reign of terror over the Near East. He then went on to conquer many more cities, including the ones you see on the screen right now. This started the Achaemenid Empire, one of the largest empires in history. But how did people live within this empire? How was trade conducted? What was daily life like for soldiers, merchants, or farmers? All that and more will be discussed in this video, so stay tuned. Welcome to my channel, where we bring you the craziest and most interesting stories from human history. In today's video, we will be taking a deep look into the mighty Persian Empire. More specifically, into how the vast majority of people actually lived under the rule of this great empire. But before we begin our story, be sure to smash that like button if you enjoy learning about ancient history and empires. And if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Click that subscribe button so you never miss out on any of our awesome videos. Let's get into it. After the collapse of the Neo-Assyrian Empire, the Median and Babylonian kingdoms fought over the fertile lands between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. After several decades of constant warfare, the Medes got the upper hand and defeated the Babylonians. Cyrus the Great, king of the Persian kingdom, took advantage of the weakened state of the Median Empire and attacked them. His army defeated the Medes, and he even managed to capture their king, Astyages, alive. After the Median defeat, Cyrus went on to conquer many more city-states and kingdoms, expanding his rule all the way from Central Asia to the Middle East. He even managed to subjugate Lydia, Urartu, and even parts of Egypt. This large and diverse empire stretched from the Balkans in the west all the way to the Indus River Valley in the east, making it the largest empire in the world at the time. It would be another 2,000 years until another empire would match its size. The Achaemenid Empire reached its greatest territorial extent under Darius the Great, who reigned from 522 to 486 BC. The empire continued to grow in wealth and power, but after the death of Darius, the empire became increasingly unstable. Constant rebellions by satraps or provincial governors weakened the empire and eventually led to its demise. After Alexander the Great invaded it in 334 BC, the Persian kings were known as the Kings of Kings, which shows just how much they thought of themselves as superior to other rulers. They believed that they were chosen by Ahura Mazda, the supreme god of Zoroastrianism, to rule over all other people. Despite being a polytheistic religion, Zoroastrianism only had one supreme god. Though there were other gods, they were not seen as supreme, and they could not overrule Ahura Mazda. Other gods were often viewed as evil, such as Angra Mainyu, also known as Ahriman, the spirit of destructive chaos. The Achaemenid kings liked to present themselves as divine rulers. Their portraits show them wearing the crown and robes of royalty and holding a scepter or a bow. They were usually shown standing on a raised platform or seated on a throne. Unlike previous empires, the Persians allowed their subjects to keep their customs and traditions as long as they paid their taxes and did not rebel. This policy made it much easier for the Persians to rule over such a diverse group of people. Furthermore, the Achaemenid Empire is considered to be one of the first true world empires. Despite being ethnically diverse, it shared a common language, a common religion, and a common set of laws. King Darius established a uniform system of weights and measures and created the first standardized coins. This facilitated trade and economic activity throughout the empire in order to better manage their vast realm. The Persians divided their empire into 20 provinces called satrapies, each governed by a satrap. Royal roads connected the empire's major cities, facilitating communication and troop movement. These roads were typically 70 feet wide and lined with rest stops every 20 miles, which also served as stations for relay teams of horses and chariots. They also built magnificent palaces and monumental structures, like Persepolis, which showcased their wealth and power. This grand capital city was adorned with intricate carvings and served as a center of administration and culture. To maintain order and collect taxes, the Persians employed a large army consisting of infantry, cavalry, and a navy. They used diplomacy and military force to expand their empire and protect its borders. For example, they formed alliances with neighboring kingdoms and left garrisons of troops in strategic locations. To defend against nomadic tribes from Central Asia, they built a defensive wall known as the Great Wall of Persia. Persia's economy was diverse and robust, driven by agriculture, trade, and crafts. The empire's fertile regions such as Mesopotamia and Fars produced abundant crops like wheat, barley, and fruits. Trade flourished along established networks connecting the Mediterranean, Central Asia, and India. Cities like Susa, Persepolis, and Babylon were hubs of commercial activity. Craftsmen produced goods such as textiles, metalwork, and ceramics for both local consumption and export. Daily life in ancient Persia varied greatly depending on social class, gender, and occupation. Men typically had more rights and opportunities than women, though there were some exceptions. The society was patriarchal with families headed by a male elder. Men participated in activities such as farming, trade, crafts, and military service. Women could own property and manage households, but their roles were generally more limited. However, some women, like Queen Esther, held positions of power. Slaves were present in Persian society, often acquired through warfare or tribute. They performed domestic or manual labor and had limited rights. Food and diet in ancient Persia consisted of a variety of dishes based on available resources and regional influences. Staple foods included grains such as wheat and barley, fruits, vegetables, and dairy products. Meat was consumed, but its prominence varied across regions. Trade and cultural exchange introduced new food items and culinary practices to the empire. The arts in ancient Persia flourished, encompassing various forms such as painting, sculpture, and architecture. Persian art often depicted scenes from mythology, history, or everyday life. They excelled in monumental architecture, evident in structures like palaces and tombs. Their artistic motifs and styles influenced neighboring cultures and left a lasting legacy. Persia's cultural achievements included advancements in science, mathematics, and literature. Scholars studied astronomy, medicine, and philosophy, contributing to broader intellectual movements of the time. While much of their literature is lost, surviving works showcase themes of love, war, and ethics. The development of a standardized script facilitated the spread of literacy and the preservation of knowledge. The fall of the Achaemenid Empire marked the end of an era in ancient Persia. Internal conflicts and external pressures contributed to its decline. Following the empire's collapse, Persia experienced a period of instability and foreign rule. The Seleucids initially controlled much of the former empire, but over time, local dynasties and empires like the Parthians and Sasanian revived Persian identity and culture. Reviving its greatness, the Sasanian Empire, also known as the Second Persian Empire, lasted from 224 to 651 CE. It was the last great pre-Islamic Iranian empire and played a significant role in the political, cultural, and religious landscape of its time. The Sasanian kings claimed descent from the Achaemenid rulers, legitimizing their rule and connecting themselves to the empire's rich legacy. They centralized power, implemented administrative reforms, and promoted Zoroastrianism as the state religion, shaping the empire's identity and values. The empire's location at the crossroads of major trade routes facilitated the exchange of goods, ideas, and cultural influences between the East and West. Cities like Ctesiphon and Isfahan became centers of commerce, attracting merchants and artisans from across the known world. The Sasanians developed a sophisticated bureaucracy to manage their vast empire. Officials were appointed to oversee provinces, collect taxes, and maintain order. The imperial court was highly centralized, with the king holding supreme authority. Sasanian art blended Persian traditions with influences from neighboring cultures, showcasing a synthesis of artistic styles. Their monumental architecture, exemplified by structures like the Tek Khosra in Ctesiphon, left an enduring legacy. The empire's cultural achievements included contributions to science, particularly in astronomy and mathematics, as well as advancements in medicine and technology. They also produced notable literary works, including the Shahnameh, an epic poem recounting Iranian history and mythology. However, the empire faced numerous challenges. Conflicts with external powers, such as the Roman and Byzantine empires, as well as internal rebellions and succession crises, strained the Sasanian rule. Religious tensions and persecution of minorities also contributed to instability. The Sasanian Empire ultimately fell in 651 CE with the Arab-Muslim conquest of Persia. And that's a wrap, folks. We hope you enjoyed this video on the Persian Empire. Let us know what you think in the comments section below. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any future videos from us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.